know the hearts of all the sons of men, that they may fear you all the days that they live in the land which you gave to our fathers. Moreover, concerning a foreigner who is not of your people Israel, but has come from a far country for your name's sake, for they will hear of your great name and your strong hand and your outstretched arm when he comes and prays toward this temple. We'll conclude our reading at this point, the book of 1 Kings, chapter 8, verse 42. I think that's right. You've been listening to a serialized reading of the Bible, the New King James Version.
The following program is intended for listeners who are blind, have low vision, or have another print disability, which makes reading, holding a book, or turning a page difficult or impossible. The content is copyrighted by the respective publishers. For more information, please visit us on the web at nfradioreading.org.
Hello, this is P. Fitz, and for the next half hour, I'll be reading from the June 4th issue of the Challenger Community News on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Maston's Rooted in the Park Weekly Farmers Market. Volunteers wanted, please sign up and tell a friend. History is being made in the Maston District. For the first time ever, Martin Luther King Jr. Park will be home to a weekly farmers market, and we couldn't be more excited for the east side of Buffalo. In partnership with the Maston District and Councilwoman Zenita Everhart, Rooted in Love is proud to present Maston's Rooted in the Park Farmers Market, running every Saturday from June 6th through September 26th, excluding June 13th and July 4th. Join us for fresh, locally sourced produce, artisan makers and community vendors, free wellness services and health screenings, insurance enrollment assistance, free family-friendly activities, and so much more. This is more than a market. It's a space for community wellness, economic opportunity, and connection in the heart of the East Side. We invite you to grow with us, shop with us, and help build something special for our community. Martin Luther King Jr. Park, every Saturday, June 6th through to September 26th. Register as a vendor or learn more at the link below. There's a link, basically linktr.ee/Rooted in Love Incorporated. Anyway, enjoy that. Sounds like a great thing. Buffalo small coffee shops can't shoulder Albany's packaging mandates. At Golden Cup Coffee in Buffalo, every cup we serve reflects a simple commitment to quality, consistency, and care for our customers. From selecting the right beans to perfecting each roast, we've built our business around delivering a great experience, one cup at a time. But behind that experience is a constant balancing act. Like many small Black-owned businesses, we operate with tight margins and limited resources. Every cost matters, every decision counts, and right now, a proposal in Albany threatens to make that balancing act even harder. The Packaging Reduction and Recycling Infrastructure Act may be well-intentioned, but for small businesses like mine and this is Larry and Jacqueline Stitz, who are owners of Golden Cup Coffee. Small businesses like mine, says Stitz, it could create serious challenges. Packaging is a basic part of what we do. Coffee cups, lids, food containers, these are not extras. They are the essential tools that allow us to serve customers safely and efficiently. When the cost of these materials goes up, it immediately affects our bottom line. The legislation would impose sweeping packaging requirements that drive up costs throughout the supply chain. Suppliers will face new rules and compliance expenses, and those costs won't stop there. They will be passed down to the small businesses like mine. Unlike large chains, we don't have the flexibility to absorb these increases or quickly redesign how we operate. We don't have teams dedicated to navigating new regulations. We don't have the purchasing power to negotiate better deals. We have to make real-time decisions to stay afloat. That often means difficult trade-offs, raising prices, cutting back on menu items, or postponing investments in growth. None of those options are good for businesses or for our customers. And our customers are already feeling the strain. Many are working families who rely on neighborhood coffee shops as affordable, convenient spaces in their daily routines. Even modest increases can change how often they visit or whether they visit at all. There are also practical realities that policymakers must consider. Running a neighborhood cafe means working within a limited space, tight staffing, and the need for consistency. We cannot easily store multiple types of packaging or constantly shift to meet changing requirements. What may seem like a manageable adjustment on paper can be disruptive in practice. Small businesses are not opposed to sustainability. We care about our communities. We want to be part of the solutions that reduce waste and protect the environment. But those solutions must be workable. Policies that rely on rigid mandates without accounting for how small businesses operate risk doing more harm than good. Instead of fostering progress, they can create new barriers, especially for minority-owned businesses that are already navigating systemic challenges. There is a better path forward. Lawmakers can support environmental goals by investing in recycling infrastructure, encouraging innovation, and working directly with small businesses to develop realistic strategies. Buffalo's small coffee shops are part of the fabric of our neighborhoods. We create jobs, provide gathering spaces, and contribute to the local economy. We want to continue doing that and do it responsibly. But we cannot do it if new mandates make it harder to operate. Albany should take a step back, listen to the small business owners, and oppose the Packaging Reduction and Recycling Infrastructure Act. "27 Years Later" by A. Dorsley. 1999. The year was 1999. Just reminisce for a second or two. What were you up to in the spring going into summer of 1999? Here are some highlights of the year for those that were alive and coherent. The Matrix dropped. Serena Williams won her first Grand Slam at the U.S. Open. Bill Clinton was impeached. Eminem dropped his Slim Shady LP. The Sopranos debuted on HBO. Michael Jordan announced his second retirement from the NBA. decided in January of that year to come out of a 204-day lockout. I'm sorry, the NBA decided in January of that year to come out of a 204-day lockout. Just to give a quick rundown, memory lane for some. Of course, there was much more than that occurred, as more personal events pertaining to each of your own lives. But for those NBA athletes, the end of the lockout was quite important. The league would end up deciding on a shortened season. This abbreviated season didn't include a bubble like the one during COVID. That season did contain the playoffs as well as the finals. That year, Latrell Sprewell and the Knicks would face Tim Duncan and the Spurs in the NBA Finals. On Wednesday, June 3rd, decades later, a rematch of the two teams will take place. In 1999, one team began a dynasty after winning the title that year, while the other hasn't been back to the finals since. The Knicks this time around will be led by Eastern Conference MVP and point guard Jalen Brunson, standing at 6 feet 2 inches, while the Spurs will be piloted by the Western Conference MVP, Defensive Player of the Year Victor Wembanyama, towering at 7 foot 4 inches. The stage is set for a battle of biblical proportions with many underlying themes: youth versus experience, alien center versus short guard, future versus present, and former underdog turned star versus a prior number 1 overall draft pick. Topping all of that off is an opportunity to prevent the repeat of history 27 years later. Just a point of information that wasn't available when that article was written. The New York Knicks won Game 1 of the series, best of 7 series, 105-95, playing in San Antonio. Under the Voices section of the Challenger, the passing of Imam Umar. This is by Dawood S. Adeola. It is with both gratitude and regret that we report the passing of our beloved Al-Hajj Imam Warith Din Umar, who was buried on May 19th, 2026, after his janazah, which was held in the Islamic Center of Capital District in Schenectady, New York. Imam Umar was a Muslim chaplain and ministerial program coordinator for the New York State Department of Correctional Services for more than 25 years. He was the founder of the first president of the National Association of Muslim Chaplains, and in 1975 became one of the first 2 Muslims hired as a full-time imams in the American prison. Imam Umar advocated hiring and assignment of Muslim religious workers throughout the U.S. He traveled to Mecca, Egypt, South Africa, Senegal, Turkey, Cyprus, and Europe in his sojourn to study history, investigate world events firsthand, and spread the teaching of Islam. He worked with rabbis, priests, ministers, and imams to improve the quality of life in a contemporary society. As an author, his book, Jews for Salam, The Straight Path to Global Peace recounts how Muslims, Christians, and Jews come from a common root. The book speaks to the morality and social as well as spiritual consciousness that anticipates awareness and change. Imam Umar is survived by his wife, Isla, with whom he shared a marriage of 50 years, as well as numerous children and grandchildren to whom he was deeply devoted. In the introduction to his book, Jews for Salam, he wrote, "To my children, stepchildren, and all who may come after them by Allah's will, I pray they will all pursue the path of Islamic dawah so that we may foster a better future for everyone. May Allah bless him and make his grave wide and spacious. Forgive him for his sins and admit him to the highest heaven." Amen. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Challenger Community News and the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. A message of hope during a solemn time of remembrance by Justice Craig Hanna. Never forget. Those words carry weight. They are more than a slogan. They are a promise. A commitment that tragedy will not erase memory. A vow that hate will not have the final word. We say never forget because remembrance is resistance. We remember so that the names, lives, and stories of those we lost are never reduced to headlines or statistics. We remember because the pain of May 14th did not end when the cameras left. It still echoes through the neighborhoods, our churches, our homes, and our hearts. And so today we gather not to simply mourn, but to bear witness. Before I go any further, let me say thank you. Thank you to Build of Buffalo. Thank you to Elim Christian Fellowship. And most importantly, I thank God. There is nothing wrong with praising God in difficult times. In fact, sometimes praise is what carries us through difficult times. Many of us would not be standing here today if it were not for the prayers of our ancestors. As Maya Angelou wrote, "Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave, I am the hope and the dream of the slave." That truth matters. The hate is real. What happened on May 14th was not random. It was fueled by hatred, fueled by division, fueled by the dangerous lie that some people matter more than others. And we must be honest enough to confront that reality. The hate is real. We see it in racism, we see it in anti-Semitism, and we see it in Islamophobia. We see it in attacks on immigrants, on marginalized communities, and on the vulnerable. But hate also grows where hopelessness grows. Communities suffering from poverty, disinvestment, unemployment, violence, and isolation become fertile ground for anger and radicalization. We cannot discuss healing without discussing conditions. When good-paying jobs disappeared from the cities like Buffalo, when factories closed, when neighborhoods were abandoned, too many people were left without opportunity, without hope, and without support. And when society fails people, division becomes easier to spread. Instead of building bridges, people are taught to blame one another. Black versus white, poor versus poor, neighbor versus neighbor. But the truth is this: we are far more alike than we are different. And when we spend all our time fighting one another, the real problems remain untouched. So what's the solution? What do? We teach truth. We teach history. We teach humanity. Black history is American history. The story of this nation cannot be told without contributions of Black Americans. Investors, educators, soldiers, artists, scientists, activists, athletes, entrepreneurs, and everyday working families who built this country while fighting to be treated equally within it. We must teach our children pride, purpose, and possibility. We must invest in education, invest in mentorship, invest in jobs, invest in mental health, invest in community, and we must stay awake. Not woke as a political slogan, but awake in spirit, awake in conscience, awake in injustice, and awake to the responsibility we have toward one another. Because too much has been sacrificed for us to become indifferent now. As Shirley Chisholm once reminded us, service is the rent we pay for the privilege of living on this earth. So let us serve our communities, serve our families, serve our young people, serve each other. And let us stop hating one another. Our diversity is not a weakness. It is our strength. Different backgrounds, different cultures, different faiths, different stories, like pieces of a mosaic. Our differences create something beautiful when joined together. As we close today, let us remember this. The victims of May 14th were mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, neighbors, friends, and pillars of this community. Their lives mattered. Their stories mattered. And their memories matter. We honor them not only with words, but with action. We honor them when we reject hatred. We honor them when we protect one another. We honor them when we speak truth. We honor them when we build a community where every child feels valued and every family feels safe. And even in sorrow, we must not lose hope, because hate may wound a community, but love, faith, and unity can rebuild one. So let us leave here today committed to being peacemakers, committed to justice, committed to service, committed to remembrance. Justice Hannah was the speaker at the Build Buffalo's second annual solemn time of remembrance on the 4th anniversary of the May 14th, 2022 racially motivated Tops Massacre, which took the lives of 10 innocent African Americans in Buffalo, New York. The well-attended event took place at Elam Christian Fellowship. The overlooked Black history of Memorial Day. There's a picture with about 15, 20 soldiers with the 25th Regiment of the U.S. Colored Troops Company during the Civil War. Memorial Day honors veterans of all wars, but its roots are in America's deadliest conflict, the Civil War. Approximately 620,000 soldiers died, about 2/3 from disease. The work of honoring the dead began right away all over the country, and several American towns claim to be the birthplace of Memorial Day. But historians, like the Pulitzer Prize winner David Blight, have tried to raise awareness of freed slaves who decorated soldiers' graves a year earlier to make sure their story gets told. According to Blight's 2001 book, Race and Reunion, The Civil War in American Memory, a commemoration organized by freed slaves and some white missionaries took place on May 1st, 1865 in Charleston, South Carolina, at a former planters' racetrack where Confederates held captured Union soldiers during the last year of the war. At least 257 prisoners died, many of disease, and were buried in unmarked graves. So black residents of Charleston decided to give them a proper burial. In the approximately 10 days leading up to the event, roughly 24 African American Charlestonians reorganized the graves into rows and built a 10-foot tall white fence around them. An archway overhead spelled out "Martyrs of the Race Course" in black letters. About 10,000 people, mostly black residents, participated in the May 1 tribute, according to coverage back then in a Charleston Daily Courier and the New York Tribune. Starting at 9 a.m., about 3,000 black school children paraded around the racetrack, holding roses and singing the Union song "John Brown's Body," and were followed by adults representing aid societies for freed black men and women. Black pastor delivered sermons and led attendees in prayer and and singing of spirituals. And there were picnics. James Redpath, the white director of Freedmen's Education in the region, organized about 30 speeches by Union officers, missionaries, and black ministers. Participants sang patriotic songs like "America" and "We'll Rally Around the Flag" and the Star-Spangled Banner. In the afternoon, 3 white and black Union regiments marched around the graves and staged a drill. The New York Tribune described the tribute as a procession of friends and mourners as South Carolina and the United States never saw before. The grave sites looked like one mass of flowers, and the breeze wafted the sweet perfumes from them, and tears of joy were shed. This tribute gave birth to an American tradition, Blight wrote, in Race and Reunion. The war was over, and Memorial Day had been founded by African Americans in a ritual of remembrance and consecration. You have been listening to a reading of articles and features from the June 4th issue of the Challenger Community News. We read from the Challenger Community News every Saturday at 8:30 a.m. Your reader has been P. Fitz. Thank you for listening.
Coming up next in the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, we have a reading of the Batavia Daily News. Following that at 10 o'clock is the East Aurora Advertiser, and at 11 we have the Niagara Gazette. Stay with us for these readings and more throughout the day. You're listening to the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Our volunteer radio readers broadcast daily readings of printed matter to our listeners who are blind or have a print disability throughout Western New York and Southern Ontario's Niagara Peninsula. The Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service has brought nearly 40 years and more than 300,000 hours of radio readings to those without sight. Our broadcast signal is provided at no charge by WNED. For more information, call us at 716-821-5555. The following program is intended for listeners who are blind, have low vision, or have another print disability which makes reading, holding a book, or turning a page difficult or impossible. The content is copyrighted by the respective publishers. For more information, please visit us on the web at nfradioreading.org.
Hello, this is Elizabeth Ortel, and for the next hour I'll be reading from issues of the Batavia Daily News, including the issue of Wednesday, June 3rd, on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. In the first article from the front page, End of an Era, Max Pies calls it a day. Business stalwart set to close after 121 years in Batavia, by Mike Patinella for the Daily News. Always quick with a joke, Phil Pies had one ready when he was asked what he and